Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Since forming in 2009, American band Latex Grenade has evolved through numerous lineup changes and musical transformations, eventually finding their signature blend of heavy hard rock and punk urgency. The band's current lineup consists of Geoff Davis, the lead singer and guitarist, Nick Shaw's the bassist, and Dylan Marks, the drummer. The band has successfully toured America and South Africa and has also appeared at SXSW in Austin. Known for their explosive blend of punk energy, thrash-infused riffs, and anthemic hard rock hooks, Latex Grenade have spent over a decade carving out their reputation as one of San Diego's most relentless underground rock exports. The band has released 6 studio albums, namely the EP in 2010, Going Green in 2012, FDR Part 1 in 2013, FDR Part 2 in 2016, The Cage in 2018, and B Minor in 2026. B Minor was produced with longtime collaborator Theo Crous of Springbok Nude Girls fame. The album captures the emotional weight and intensity that has defined Latex Grenade's journey. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Geoff Davis from Latex Grenade. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
I am in the San Diego, California, in the United States, West Coast, Southern California area, and I'm doing excellent. I'm doing excellent. How are you guys doing? How are you doing?
All good, thank you. How, where, and what was inspiration for the name Latex Grenade?
The Latex Grenade, as if I've ever been asked that question before, you know. The meaning of Latex Grenade over the years, we've really generalized it as a metaphor of a reference to planet Earth being fragile like a water balloon, being squeezed in any direction. However, over public pressure over the last decade or so, we've just allowed the meaning to be inferred however you please. There's obviously a lot of sexual connotation there. What's the official answer? Well, the first thing I said, what's the answer? How it means to you, you know?
Okay, so now let's rewind. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to be in this world of music? How did that journey progress? And then how did the band form?
There's always eras, particularly in around, 5th grade. So in the States, that's around 11, 12, 13 years old, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. That's when we really started getting into music. We grew up West Coast, Southern California. We grew up with punk rock bands, like Pennywise, Bad Religion, Offspring, even No Doubt, and Blink-182 is a hometown band that we grew up obviously loving, being from the same city, looking up to them, but also picking up the guitar and learning all their guitar riffs, And so one thing leads to another. You start learning some songs, and then you formulate a band. I was in a couple bands early on in high school, but the coming out of high school and college is when Latex Grenade was formed, and really taking the roots of Southern California punk rock was a massive inspiration of the journey that we embarked upon. We happened to be right here in the scene of everything when it was going on in the early 2000s, and so there's a lot of that in our music today, but there's also a lot of metal that came a little later in our journey, that around 16, 17, 18, when you started getting somewhat halfway decent at guitar and the drums. The metal genre really offered a lot more technicality to the music, and so lots of influence from metal there as well.
When you said metal has more technicality, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, good question. You grew up listening to Master of Puppets by Metallica, right? It's just so many more notes being hit on the guitar, like 8th notes, 16th notes, a little bit more complex rhythms growing up than, your loud, wide open punk rock. That is just the simpler, the better for punk rock because it makes the mix louder, For metal, there's a lot more notes being played. So the music ends up being a little bit more complicated to record, but also to learn to play.
How do you guys create a song?
Yeah, good question. I think every good song comes from the heart in the sense of you mean it, you know. But where that idea comes from, sometimes it's in the shower. You know, sometimes you're just like, oh, that's a cool tune. You're in the shower, and sometimes you'll be on a vacation, and just like a little riff will just, or a hook or a lyric will just kind of stay in your brain. So it comes from all different angles. Often comes with a cool guitar riff. Often comes with a great chorus. Sometimes there's a time in life where a point of a song needs to be said, or a theme of a song needs to be said, like big adversities that happen in the journey of life as well. So it comes across a lot of different angles, but the process more or less in this band has kind of been pretty similar. Starts with like an idea and a concept, a melody. I'll take a scratch track. I have a whole bank of random scratch tracks of even just humming. And there, take that, start moving it into a song format, start maybe putting some scratch drums on, and we'll have a process that's probably 50% finished at most, and that's when we'll bring the band in, and we'll start jamming. A lot of the time, the first verse and the chorus will be written, and then not until that's the more or less thesis of the piece, and then obviously before it's tracked, the lyrics get a lot more polished. They get a lot more enunciated. Sometimes the enunciation is a little bit off until that red light goes on. You realize that you either have a speech impediment or you're pronouncing it wrong, So their changes happen all up until the time it's tracked, but nothing's cooler than the process. It's why we're all musicians. It's literally what we love doing.
You just gave me such a massive realization when you said that, because when you announce a word singing, it can definitely be very different when you compare to when you're speaking it.
Yes.
That's very interesting. I've never thought of that before.
You and Me, that's like a song on our new album. But sometimes when you write it, on paper, looking at it right in front of you, the syllables, it makes sense. But the way you sing it, for whatever reason, it doesn't flow into the beat. It doesn't flow into the melody. So you got to make small tweaks along the way. A lot of the time, as a lyricist, you have this massive point you want to make. We have a song called Wade into the Darkness, and it was so important for me to say a couple things in this track. Like, I really wanted the listener to listen. But the problem was, you got to get rid of those linking verbs sometimes, like buts and ands in the phrase. And so you'll be tracking something, and Theo, master in Belleville, in Cape Town, I'll literally pause. I'll be like, Theo, does that even make sense? If we get rid of the or but or and, does it make sense still? Can we still get the point across? My point is this: can we get the point across if we simplify this? One of the hardest things that we've learned in this life is actually to make things from a minimalist perspective. Minimalism is extremely difficult. Simplifying to the core of what is absolutely needed is probably one of the hardest things that we've embarked upon, even though ironically it's the simplest thing on the output,
Very interesting that you mentioned about the lyrics and your intention with them and people hearing it. I speak to people who love music. They listen to music. A lot of them don't necessarily hear lyrics. A few examples that come to mind straight away. That song by Sia, Chandelier. It's all about her being an alcoholic and her staying sober. Then you've got that song from the 90s, that dance song, Gypsy Woman by Crystal Waters, that La Da Dee, La Da Da one. And it's all about a homeless person trying to make money to find a place to sleep. Then you've got that Pumped Up Kids by Foster People. It's all about a school shooting in America. A lot of people who listen to music don't necessarily get the lyrics. So hearing you say that you want the person to hear it, are you very intentional and want them to get it firsthand, first time, or are you comfortable in allowing them to process it in the space that they need to do so?
That's a fantastic question. I love a couple of those references. And I love those references because I think they also answer the question when we dissect the examples. I think Rick Rubin, the great producer, he's always said this for years, that you make music for yourself, and then some people will love you. They'll love you for it. But on this album particularly, It's the first album full length we've recorded in years. We're coming on the back end of a very dark era in the world with the post pandemic and the darkness that emerged from that. Close ones passing away, just the political unrest that came out of it. The American politic has just become so aggressive. There's these themes that have evolved in the last half decade. And so we set out an album, and I love what you just said, because that was one of the most important things on this album, was that we were going to mean this one. Every single lyric, every single note that we sing on this album came from a root of deep, intense passion of getting the point across. The Sia song, Sia Chandelier, I think that is a phenomenal example when you talk about people interpreting the song on the first impression or processing. You have this song in Sia. She sings such masterfully high notes in that chorus, right? I'm gonna swing, Ironically, we've covered the song before, but what's beautiful about that song, though, is you don't even need to know the lyrics to know this song is about overcoming a level of adversity such as alcoholism. The way she delivers the verse, she almost delivers it intentionally as if she's like slurring, as if she's intoxicated, the way she kind of rolls into that. And then just the floodgates in the chorus open up and she just like lets it go, and so you infer this just by the note. She sang that thing like she freaking meant it, and then you go back and look at that song, you look at, well, this is really about a song about kind of overcoming the darkness and loneliness of alcoholism, but the beauty about your example in that one particularly is that you already knew that without even knowing a single lyric, because she did such a great job of taking you on this journey that the music speaks for itself. The Foster the People song as well, also very similar on that same point. On the La Da Dee Da Da song out of the 90s, excellent point as well, in the sense is you have this level of uncertainty of roaming through the way that chorus is delivered,
Yes.
La dee da da da,
Yeah.
and there's a level of, I don't want to say there's a level of homelessness in that song, but there's a level of understanding that all of those examples did such a good job in vocalizing just through the music aspect, and that was a big point for this album. We were going to sing this one like we meant it. We freaking meant this one, Every once in a while you'll shed a tear on a recording session because you literally just put it all out there. And we did that on almost every track this album. And it's something we're very proud about.
Okay, so now let's go into this album. So you referenced it was a long gap between this album and the last. Why was there that gap? And what was the inspiration to say, okay, we're going to release one now?
We actually set out mid in the pandemic. We actually set out and recorded a bunch of random cover songs just to stay kind of busy. The backstory of the gap came out of something that was quite heartbreaking. We had toured quite a bit pre-pandemic, pre-2020 throughout the country. We had played South by Southwest quite a bit as well over the years. March of 2020, we finally had a pretty good, like a proper tour lined up on the backbone of South by Southwest. We had a couple headline spots. We had a couple direct support spots. It was something that was a little bit more elevated than what we've seen in the past, and the momentum was quite attractive at the time. Unfortunately, the manager we were working with, I'm on my way to the airport, Austin, Texas, in March of 2020. I'm literally on my way. We have a couple shows we're getting ready for, and that's the day that they closed the airports in the United States for the pandemic. And the sales being taken out by an entire tour with all the effort, that culminated in that journey, and just taking it out from you, that hurt a little bit. But one thing led to another. Going back to the management we were working with, unfortunately, a dear loved one, a partner of ours, he actually passed away from COVID. So we kind of had this 2-year hiatus that kind of embarked upon. And about 2022 and a half, if you will, we got back on the saddle and we brought Theo out here to San Diego, Belleville Studios, Theo Crous from the Nude Girls. He came out and we actually tracked half of this album in the half part of 2023. One thing led to another. Through 2023, 2024, some serious adversity on both sides of the journey happened through there. And it really took a while to get started. But right around the beginning part of 2025 is when we say, hey, it's time to finish this thing. It doesn't matter anymore. It's time to finish. The journey, it really was on the back end of some mishaps and some speed bumps for sure, unfortunately.
I know Theo Crous, seen him at some gigs and interviewed him a couple of times at those gigs. How did that relationship or partnership and collaboration happen?
The story of Geoff and Theo, huh? We had been working with a company out of Los Angeles, Lursen Mastering. They're the mastering house that's mastered 2 or 3 Foo Fighter albums to count, and a pretty legendary mastering house on the West Coast. On our album FDR Part 2, we got to the point of mastering the album, and it just something wasn't right. The whole recording process, maybe we tracked it poorly, we mixed it, and we just, something wasn't quite right. And I go to Ruben at Lursen Studios, and I sent him some reference tracks in the genre, and I said, hey, let's be real, man. Like, give it to me straight. Like, what's wrong with this thing? Like, why aren't the drums hitting the way they need to, or why is just like everything it just doesn't seem like it's like there. And he kind of gave me some pointers. He said, honestly, man, like you can band-aid this all you want, but you got to go back to the mix. South Africa is about as far as you can travel across the planet from Los Angeles. And so he's like, this is very inconvenient, what I'm about to tell you, but give this guy a call. This guy's freaking rad. The currency is a little bit stronger. The American dollar goes a little bit longer way in South Africa. Call this guy, but he's a really cool dude. And he didn't tell me anything about this guy. He just literally sent a group WhatsApp to me and Theo. And so the day we met Theo, we get on a call and we like play some phone tag or whatever. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was actually on the golf course with my dad. And I was on like hole like 7 or something. And like a random video call from what's your country code? Like +47 or something?
+27.
Oh, +27.
Yeah.
So a random video call comes in. I don't even have a number saved. And this guy calls me. I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey man, like what's up? And it's this guy, like he would be Jesus if he had brown hair, but he had white hair now. He's sitting there just ripping a cig, like in his studio, and I'm like, what the F is this guy, dude? Like, and I just look at this guy through my screen. I'm like, looking, I'm like, all right. Like, he's like, hey, yeah, how's it going? I'm Theo. Ruben connected me. I didn't do any research on Theo, and we talked. And the funniest thing about that conversation was, I swear to God, I was on the tee box of hole 7, about to hit a drive. And I literally was like, hey, go ahead, man. And I literally just stood there on hole 7 for an hour, just talking to Theo. And the funniest thing was, we never even talked about music. We just talked about surfing. He's talking about J-Bay. I'm talking about Black's Beach and all the spots on the West Coast. And we're starting to like have a pissing contest on what places have better surf. And like, it's been an hour and all of a sudden, like, we just forget I'm on a golf course, and I don't know, it's probably like 2 a.m. his time, And so anyways, it's like an hour into the call, and he literally says, so how can I help you, man? Like, what's the deal, And so I say, Theo, I need some help. And he's like, man, let's do this. And so we agreed on a budget, and he did just a freaking awesome job remixing the FDR Part 2. His favorite song on that was Cut with a Knife. It was our very first ballad at the time, and unfortunately for Theo, it was like a 9-minute song. The very first song Theo ever mixed for us was literally like the freaking longest song like we've ever had, So we've always have a good laugh about that.
I still budget for my CDs. For me, it's an energy exchange to say thank you to you guys for all the hard work you do. I love the journey of the choice, the booklet, the unpacking, the listening to song from 1 to whatever number.
Sure.
I'm unsure if you are or not aware, a massive uptick of physical around the world. I read in Variety about 3-4 weeks ago that $1.04 billion spent on vinyl last year in the US, the biggest since 1983. 2 years ago or 3 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1993. Last year in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. There needs to be a high number of exchanges daily for a product to be in the basket, and they monitor it for tax purposes.
Yeah.
And because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are back in the basket. And the research of all of this is it's showing that the teenagers, the younger kids are diving into this world, not the older nostalgic people. Then we have Spotify and all these platforms. What are your observations of the landscape at the moment?
Oh man, this is awesome. I have an assistant that's right in that genre of age, that you're talking about, and this is when it really clicked with me. Was we were out doing an event, I don't know, several months ago, and the guy, his name's John Roy, an awesome engineer. He produces a lot of stuff, but he gifted her a vinyl. He's like, "Hey, I want you to give this a listen," and the look on her face when he gifted her a tangible substance was so nostalgic. Just observing the younger kids like get something tangible, and it really hit me because you got the Gen Zs. They're rising in this journey of every single thing you and I can talk about is intangible right now, and this search for something that they can hold, this search for something that they can see, feel, and touch is as high as ever. The thing with vinyl, it's funny. We've never even pressed a vinyl before, Latex Grenade, and we just ran. Where I think we're going to run a few hundred of them for friends, family, and whatnot because of this. But this search in the age of synthetic AI, this search for something that is real is even higher than ever, and it's a positive. I think it's a testament to how sustainable the human species is in general. It's like a revolution against digital. The Springbok Nude Girls have a song called "Emerging Submarines." I love the theme of that song, but there's all these emerging submarines in Gen Z culture right now. They don't know a world without Instagram. They don't know a world without TikTok. But when you look at all of this stuff, none of this stuff you can actually possess. You also see a lot of this for art in general. You see cameras are coming back again too. Film for cameras is coming back. Digital cameras, like the old school digital Sony with a flash, like those are like everywhere out in the States right now with like 20 something year olds. I think it's the pursuit of holding something or actually being able to feel something real.
As owning something that is yours.
Yes. I think it's actually the most magical thing about the younger generation. Like when we got to see Metallica, we got to see the Chili Peppers in the LA Coliseum with 100,000 people, like a rock band, a big rock band. You tell the younger generations these stories, and they're just so frustrated that they didn't get to experience this level of live music out there. I've talked with Arno and Theo a lot about this. Cape Town's very similar. You have this rise of EDM. You have this rise of computerized music, which it's some of it, most of it is honestly quite beautiful. It's quite complicated. It's quite elaborate. But there is this value of acoustic notes that is absolutely missing amongst the younger generation. I think they're seeking that. It's a big reason why concert is the only economic unit in the world right now that's actually booming, is the festivals and the concerts. And I think it's this soul search for something real, a real vocal, a real guitar, and I think it's a good thing. It isn't a testament to some of the bad that we've come to.
Tell us what's coming up over the next period of time.
Yes. Well, we released Suffer, a little taste of B Minor, the new album. What's coming is we have a set of 6 to 7 music videos coming behind it. We have a couple more releases in the incubator coming out, and nothing is more exciting than getting the long-awaited new music to people to give it a listen to. We reimagined a couple songs on this album from the past, and our pursuit of just having a 2026 quality album was something that we are extremely excited to enter the new era with, because it was practically like we were in prison before even internet 8 years ago, before we released the last album, and then all of a sudden they released from prison, and now now we have like all of this technology that we've been working on. It's been a pretty wild journey making a modern album.
When does the album come out?
The album will be released in I guess, an episodial strategy. The technical term is a waterfall release. The journey's already begun, to answer your question, but every 4 weeks a new track will be out on streaming platforms.
You referenced that the modern creativity in the world of music. What did you find most challenging during the process, and how did you overcome it?
I would say challenging / intimidating. I think the most intimidating thing is when you really get out and Theo and I, we spent a long time listening. He challenged me to start listening to like very new rock bands, new bands that are releasing albums today, even old bands releasing new albums, you know. But one thing that was very challenging slash very intimidating was in 2025, 2026, the new era, the quality of the drums recorded today are so much greater than it used to be. And so the pressure of delivering a loud, modern master with the quality that sits next to electronic music. I think that was our biggest feat is going back to Gen Z. How do we get these Gen Z kids to listen to a banging EDM song and then a banging Latex Grenade song and not losing the decibels of the acoustic instruments because they're just used to listening to just the loudest electronic drums possible. And so the pursuit of recording drums that had the same level of impact of electronic instruments on the industry right now, I think that was probably our biggest goal, our biggest thing to overcome. And we did a lot of listening, a lot of bands that have mastered that journey, and that was, I think, our very first step in the process.
What do you enjoy about performing live?
Dude, I mean, it comes down to saying it like you mean it. Singing it like you mean it. There's specific musical riffs. There's specific guitar riffs. There's specific vocal melodies live that no matter how many times you play the track, they make you personally feel something when you play it, you know? I remember vividly playing our album release party several years back, and we got to this breakdown. We played it well, but we got to this bridge, the breakdown going into the last chorus, and there's a long, prolonged musical piece or section right there, and I just remember it like it was yesterday. You kind of just wish time could stop. You've just arrived. It's not about being famous, but for you personally, you summited this mountain when you're playing something that you genuinely mean, that you felt. These experiences happen for split seconds, but you cherish those moments for the rest of your life and you remember them. And so this is Make Your Fate's one of them that always gets me. And also some of the songs that are a little harder to play, like you play them properly and you feel pretty good about them, you know. But you know that's what it's about. It's about those soul split second moments where time sometimes can just stop and you as a person made it.
I love this next game. I know if I had to ask you this question tomorrow or in 2 minutes or in 5 years, I know your answer will be different every time. So it's very important to understand I'm not saying favorite, I'm saying top of mind. So once we finish this conversation, if you want to go away and listen to 5 other artists, who would those 5 artists be?
You're exactly right. That question is going to change all the time. Before we recorded this album, I would have probably went back to my favorite 10 bands growing up as a child, you know. As we've really delved into the modern era of rock music, today there's just so many great things happening right now. The notion that music isn't nearly as good as it used to be is just not correct. It's the access that we have that makes it challenging. It's that there's so much noise now. There's so many things to listen to, but music is far greater than it's ever been. That is undisputable. No offense to anyone, any boomer who says otherwise. That the catalog, the quality of musicians, everyone is so talented now, and there's so many of them now. You don't just have one guy like Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix. But on that same point, Tom Morello, guitarist, he's really fractured into some different side projects this past 1 to 2 years. And he just continues to just make such rad music. Although he's comes from the 90s, Tom Morello, he's making modern music. His collaborations with big artists like Serge from System of a Down, their projects out are really freaking cool. They're really powerful. They're highly politically charged, just as Rage Against the Machine is. But their stuff is awesome. Another just excellent band of the younger generation that rocks hard is Bring Me the Horizon. They're playing in Latin America to hundreds of thousands of people, and it's not necessarily my genre, but when you listen to their recording quality, the quality that they have, but just the way they've connected rock music with the younger generation, I think is just incredible. You can't sleep on Turnstile. Turnstile is probably the biggest band in the world right now. They proved it at Coachella this past April. But that's a band that has like kind of revitalized a dormant little rock subgenre. I guess you could call them metal, but they've brought this kind of contemporary energy into their music that is, I think, something pretty special. And then you have a couple other bands that have just really solidified that rock's not really going anywhere. You have Cage the Elephant, who's kind of just been 10 straight years of just very good quality sound, you know.
The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a message to the audience, what would you like to say?
I think success is on the journey of music, particularly. Success is in the eyes of you and only you. It's all about summiting a mountain in the journey, particularly with music. I think the most important thing is that selling 10 million vinyls is not everyone's summit. At the end of the day, your mountain that you summit is the one that you produce and you'll take to the grave by just being proud that you completed whatever goal that you had in mind. I think that was a massive revelation. We are older now, but when we were young, you know, our goal was obviously far different than what it is today. And we are happier than ever with this album, but we also know that it doesn't need to sell 10 million copies. This one came from a pure, deep understanding that this is our art and this was our personal diary that we took off our chest and we told the masses in the best quality effort we could deliver. I think that's the most important, man. Everyone has a different mountain to summit, and that doesn't mean global viral success is everyone's mountain that they summited. And I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.